Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, May 10th, and I'm your host, Kristen McDonald. The 12th annual Boston Bruins PJ Drive wrapped up this past March, and Norwood finished second to Bourne. The community donated 2,538 pairs of pajamas for children in need. A big part of the town's success was two very special residents of Norwood, John and Jean Hall. NCM was able to catch up with them.
I think it was 3 years ago I saw an article in the paper, and I found out it was benefiting. It was just Cradles to Crayons then. Now I think it's the Wonder Fund too. And I felt that I just couldn't stand the thought of a kid not having a pair of pajamas. So we bought a few pairs the first year and then bought a bunch more.
The Boston Bruins PJ Drive partners with local libraries in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to collect pajamas for children in need. Norwood residents John and Jean Hall learned about the PJ Drive program 3 years ago and have been supporting it ever since.
We represented a significant increase in the volume of pajamas, and they had to kind of make it up as they went along about how to keep those under control and move them along where they needed to be. The second year, we stepped it up even more. That was the year when we donated about 500 and some pajamas out of a total of about 600 and some pajamas that they collected. And this third year, a lot of things changed. One was that Kate Teig, the current children's librarian, was put in that role, and she is absolutely amazing. Her contribution to making this run smoothly and handle the volume hasn't been told widely enough, and she deserves a lot of credit. So do the custodians, who doubled as truck drivers that move things around, and there was a lot of work to be done. But of course, the other big difference was Tony Mizuko shows up with a chip on his shoulder about Bourne.
Not a real chip.
Not a real chip, but
he was wonderful. He got everybody involved. He got the schools doing it, and the fire and police and public works, and the Elks, and I know I'm leaving something out. It was just amazing how he marshaled everybody to get interested in it.
Jean shops all year for pajamas and is always searching for a deal.
So you come out of it not only with a sense of pride and joy in having achieved this much, but a sense of what could happen if we used the whole year, which is what Jean has been doing all along. If you go up to our attic, you find pajamas being stored during the year. You find toys for Home for Little Wanderers being stored during the year, and then they get distributed at the appropriate time. But you wouldn't be able to make such an impact unless you were doing it steadily.
The Halls donated 863 pairs of pajamas in 2019, and Jean is already shopping for next year's drive.
Jean not only finds bargains, but she finds pajamas that would really light up a kid's life. She's managed to get Marvel and DC tie-in characters on the pajamas. So somewhere out there is somebody wearing Spider-Man and
Black Panther?
Black Panther, yeah. So.
The Halls love to help out others in caring for children in need.
Well, we don't have any kids of our own. We would have loved to have, but it wasn't in the cards. So we figured we would kind of adopt some kids around us who needed help.
The Halls credit the town employees that helped out with the drive, but know it could not have been done without the community of Norwood.
Norwood is a community that thinks of itself as a family. In its finer moments, it takes a village to raise a child, and they're willing to step up. And that's inspirational.
John and Jean Hall are truly an inspiration. Thank you to you both on donating 863 pairs of pajamas. Friday night, the Norwood Masons held the annual Teacher of the Year Awards. Many people were in attendance to recognize all the hard work of the teachers in the Norwood School District. Nearly 70 teachers were nominated by students, peers, and parents. Mine must have got lost in the mail. Following the reading of the nominations, a special recognition was awarded.
Mr. Tolman is behind the scenes both literally and figuratively for almost every event for the students and teachers. His sincere, patient, and kind spirit is truly one of a kind, and the public schools of Norwood are so incredibly lucky to have him. Round of applause. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
Following Mr. Tolman's special recognition, the 2019 Teacher of the Year Award was presented.
Representing the Dr. Philip O. Coakley Middle School, the 2019 Norwood Teacher of the Year is Rachel Siegel.
Thank you. I have no idea what to say, but really sitting here listening to everything that everyone does is so inspiring, and I love teaching here, and I love my colleagues so much.
Congrats, Rachel Siegel and Jack Tolman, on your well-deserved accomplishments. Stay tuned after this break for this week's Living Local. Welcome back. The Norwood Space Center houses a lot of different businesses, most of which are creative. It is a hub for local artists and designers. On this week's Living Local, we head down to the Space Center to learn all about Art Cadenza.
Hello, here's Art Cadenza, a studio dedicated to developing and creating beautiful paintings of landscapes, still life, portraits, and figures by using oil, acrylic, watercolor, gouache, or charcoal.
Jean-Therese Hui inherited her artistic talent from her grandfather, who was an accomplished painter. She grew up surrounded by art, guided by her grandfather.
I learned from him how to see and observe objects, environment, shapes, forms, and colors. Also closely observed the techniques of his painting. I was always fascinated by the imagination and skills involved in the creative process.
Her painting is full of passion with an impressionistic flair expressed through her fluid strokes and mark-making, composition, shape and color, and conveying a sense of happiness.
I love all kinds of beauties, and I love to paint all kinds of stuff, landscape and still life and the city scene and figures, everything, and like freedom when I painting, and I just feel like a music when I paint. Just everything come from bottom of my heart and feel the joy, beauty, and just the hope.
Jean took a detour professionally before it all came back full circle to her childhood dream of becoming a painter.
I went on to study economics and finance and worked in the corporate world as a financial analyst. However, my love for art eventually lured me back to pick up my painting brush and palette knife again. And I went to RISD and for formal training on painting, design, and digital art. I've been enjoying painting beautiful things with a symphony of colors, stroke by stroke and layer by layer since then.
Jean's paintings are always cheerful and full of joy, a motto that she applies to her outlook on life.
I learned from him to keeping a positive attitude on life. I always believe there's a paradise inside of each of us. My art is to keep the inner beauty and the positive energy growing and blooming.
Jean is excited to have her business grow at the Space Center and to be a part of the Norwood community.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, involved in this vibrant artistic community, and I look forward to expanding to a bigger space here in Space Center to further consolidate my studio in the future. I will create more beautiful paintings to share with people who also love beauty, joy, and hope.
To learn more about Art Cadenza, please visit www.artcadenza.com.
Wow, those are some beautiful paintings. Stay tuned after this break to find out what is happening in your local government. Welcome back to Norwood News. Monday night, Town Manager Tony Mazzucco held an information session reviewing municipal finance and the basic terms of municipal finance to get ready for the upcoming budget season as well as town meeting. Town meeting starts Monday, May 13th at 7:30 p.m. and will be held in the NHS auditorium. NCM will be covering this live on the government channel as well as streaming it live on their website. Also on Monday, the Planning Board hosted Perry Makarios, owner of Spot Bagels, as he announced his plan to relocate to 95 to 105 Central Street, formerly ADJ Signs. Makarios is planning on a number of improvements to the building, including the outside signage of the building. According to the Norwood Town bylaw, any changes to the facade of a building in the Central Business District requires planning approval.
I think it's absolutely willing to work with you on this. I think it's a great start and a great improvement to that for downtown. As you probably know, we're making a real, going forward, effort to really do some things down there. And I think as a landlord, that's great that you're keeping things consistent and so I would definitely also be willing to work with you on any kind of special permit.
The board passed the vote for Makarios' application, and he plans to complete the transition by the end of the year.
Do you have a rough timeline? Approximately, maybe about 8 weeks. It'll be finished.
So you are moved over there?
No. Not for the business,
No.
for the exterior improvements. Me moving into the business, hopefully before year's end. Depending, sometimes you come up with,
Stuff happens.
setbacks.
Stuff happens.
It does happen.
The next planning board meeting is Monday, May 20th at 7 p.m. The Board of Selectmen met in their chambers for their regularly scheduled Tuesday meeting. Appointments included Chief Brooks from the Norwood Police Department, Chief Maurice from the Fire Department, Segal Reese and Aubrey Seal of Impact Norwood, Town Assessor Tim McDonough, and Director of Finance and Accounting Tom McQuaid. McDonough and McQuaid discussed the proposed operational override and the dollars and cents effect it will have on the taxpayer of Norwood residents.
Right now, an average tax bill is $4,900. And, year one of the override, that's the big bump, $389.
Year one.
Year one for the average taxpayer. And then in year two, that figure would become $398 instead of $389. So in other words, in year two, there'd be, because of the 2.5% increase on everyone's taxes, there'd be an additional $9.73.
Town Manager Tony Mazzucco also explained further what the implication of the override is in terms of a tax increase after the first year of its inception.
One figure that I think is worth pointing out, so year one, the tax bill for the average home goes up $389. And again, that's based on the statistical average home price of $452,000. Year five, as a result of the override, your tax bill is $430 higher. So you're talking about a fairly small delta between the first year and the fifth year of the override. It's adding about $10 per year after the first year. So it's important that that number is clear to folks.
The next Board of Selectmen meeting will be Tuesday, May 14th. Also on Tuesday, the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on multiple cases. To start the meeting, some rearrangements were made as the board welcomed its newest member, Scott Murphy, appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and also appointed Thomas Brady as the new chairman of the committee. The discussion moved to the first hearing of the night concerning Lenox Street. After some discussion from both parties, there was a mutual compromise for space relief for the proposed plan that the committee granted.
Well, the compromise would be
15. I think what Phil said,
Shiver and 7.
You're effectively deeming that for those, if we rent those out, by my calculation, what we need and what we have already, we're a little bit short, but that would be the relief you'd be giving. Yeah.
So the relief total would be 161.
You'd be authorizing a total of that 154 spaces in lieu of 164. 141 required plus the 23 we're trying to fill, the space we're trying to fill, makes 164, and we have 154 available now. So it's only 10 spaces. And they're different times of day, so I don't think you're taking a big risk on that.
The next Zoning Board of Appeals meeting will be in the coming weeks. On Wednesday afternoon, the Airport Commission met to cover new business, which included a presentation from Southern Airlines. Chief Commercial Officer Mark Sesteri presented a commercial permit interest to the Commission, proposing the operation of a commercial flight from Norwood Airport to Nantucket. During the nearly 20-minute presentation, Sesteri gave a brief overview of the company and presented their proposed plan for the Norwood to Nantucket service. Following Southern Airlines' presentation, the Commission discussed plans for a new 22-space parking lot, which would provide better handicap access to the different areas of the airport. The final discussion of the meeting was the availability of Lot ABC to go to bid for lease. The Airport Commission will meet again in the upcoming weeks. Wednesday's school committee meeting was packed with multiple guests and a wide variety of topics to cover as the school year draws near to its end. The evening started with Superintendent Dr. Thompson recognizing two outstanding students, Emily Murray and Soraya Adelaide, for their outstanding academic achievement and to recognize them with this special accomplishment. NHS teachers Jessica Kaplan and Philip Bueller presented their final proposal for the French Student Exchange Program. High school representatives presented on a new program, Career Pathways, and the Strategic Planning Committee presented their future plan. The committee spent much of the meeting tackling the pay-to-play option for athletics, arts, clubs, and activities in the event an override fails to pass on June 3rd. One of the main difficulties that kept resurfacing was the concern of Title IX compliance with athletics funding.
So if we're accepting fees for this, I have no problem with putting that out there, and I have no problem with I have problems with collecting the fees, but if that's the way we're going to collect the fees, my point is those fees need to go into one bucket, and we then see who has registered and then sort out the Title IX implications afterwards. So my point with if football gets fully funded, right now we have a bundle that says football, field hockey, girls volleyball, and cheerleading, right? There is a theoretical possibility that football could get fully funded, girls soccer could get fully funded, and girls cross country could get fully funded. Those are from 3 separate bundles. We would not run each one of those bundles, because actually if you add up the numbers, we would be able to run football, girls soccer, and girls cross country.
Right.
This is part of my problem with the bundles. The bundles are too restrictive, and they don't allow, they put us, that would be another Title IX violation.
Right.
Somebody could sue us for having the money and not
Right.
running the programs, right? So this is why I think the attorney's idea of one fund is the best way that we avoid long-term problems and still allow people to do the fees, but people are going to have to go with the fact that there is going to be uncertainty.
The first motion to eliminate the possibility of pay-to-play altogether failed by a majority vote. The second motion, after some clarification, approved pay-to-play with deadlines for each activity being shortly after the special election on June 3rd, passed unanimously. The next school committee meeting will be May 22nd. The last meeting of Wednesday night was the Community Preservation Committee. With annual town meetings starting Monday, May 13th, the committee discussed upcoming Articles 13 through 15 on the warrant. Along with town meeting talk, there was a discussion of the financial review and the possible addition of a part-time administrative assistant. The CPC's next meeting will be June 12th. Thursday night in the NHS auditorium, Town Manager Tony Mazzucco hosted an override information session as part of the continuing town meeting information nights. Much of the night was spent discussing the budget and the effects the override will have if it passes and the effects if the override does not pass. The last hour of the meeting was spent fielding questions from members of the audience. Visit www.norwoodma.gov for future information session dates. Also on Thursday night, the PBCC held their monthly meeting. During the near hour-long meeting, the committee covered a number of topics such as the St. Gabriel Chapel project and leaks at the high school. With the renovations of the chapel nearing an end, the committee spent the beginning of the meeting approving invoices. Following the approvals, the discussion turned to the time capsule. The committee will plan to hold a ceremony when the time capsule is placed back into the wall. Towards the end of the meeting, the committee realigned positions and elected Ted Callahan as the chairman and Bob Silk as vice chairman. The final item of the night was the leaking at the high school. The committee is planning to have a crew examine the issue. The next PBCC meeting will be in the upcoming weeks. To watch complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government Channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break to find out what is happening in your schools.
Your home for all things Norwood, online at norwoodcommunitymedia.org.
Welcome back. Now we're going to toss it across the studio to our good friend Tim Rose to learn all about what is happening in the Norwood School District this week.
Hi guys, I'm Tim Rose, and let's take a look at some activities happening in our Norwood schools this week. This week at the Little Mustangs Preschool, children in Miss Teresa Aiello's PAX classroom had some very special guests in their class. The students invited their moms in to serenade them for a special Mother's Day celebration. The children, accompanied by Madison Kelly on the guitar, sang some familiar songs with a Mother's Day twist. The children brightened their mom's day with the suncraft and flowers. Happy Mother's Day to these very special moms. The staff at LMPA were also spoiled by the PTO this week. Warm bagels were delivered on Tuesday, frozen treats arrived on Wednesday, and a yummy lunch catered by Conrad's was enjoyed by all on Friday. The staff would like to thank this amazing group of parent volunteers who always go above and beyond to support the students and staff at the preschool. Diets will all start up again on Monday. At the Balch School, Miss Davis's 4th grade class has been learning about the genre of mystery. Students read a mystery and took notes on all the elements of the story, including the detective, the clues, the suspect, and the plot. They then wrote a report in the form of a cereal box, creating a name for the cereal based on the mystery. Using all of these elements, they wrote a summary, of course not telling what happened in the end. No spoilers. They even made a game for the back of the box. This week, the Balch held its first ever Fine Arts Night Festival. Student artwork was on display in the hallways on the walls for all to see. In the auditorium, students in the 2nd and 1st grade sang this call and response song.
Yes, ma'am. Well, did you save me mine? Yes, ma'am. Well, shoot, 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 turkey. Throw your feathers way yonder. Shoot, 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 turkey.
Looks like a new tradition has begun at the Balch. Did you hear all of the poems popping out of the Cleveland School? The 1st grade celebrated its annual poetry pop last week. Teachers Mrs. Brigham, Mrs. Georgopoulos, Mrs. Nally, and reading specialist Mrs. Galvin all worked together to create this event to celebrate National Poetry Month. The students have been learning all about poetry in class, and bulletin boards were on display in the cafeteria. The morning began with students reciting poems on stage. Every student had portfolios and folders that they have been working on and shared with their guests. The morning was a fun way to demonstrate what they've learned in 1st grade and have some popcorn at the same time. Book activist 12-year-old Olivia Van Legte, aka LiveBits, presented at the Cleveland last week and spoke about digital citizenship, or how to promote literacy through use of technology, and to let kids know that they can make a difference in the world. Olivia is known for her video blog, The LiveBits, that features selfie videos about books, concerns, and passions. During spring break, NHS students traveled to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. They had many new experiences and also helped out several communities. Senior Jake Smelster was on this trip.
Over April vacation, myself and 13 others from North High went over to the Dominican Republic to help others in need and learn about a new culture. When we first got there, we luckily got to try brand new cultural foods that I've never had in my life, and it was amazing. Next day, I was off to work, and we went to an environmental school to help build dugouts and finish the dugouts. The next day, we went back. We got to paint fences for their garden and also finish up whatever we needed for the dugouts. The next day, we had to help out with the Mariposa Foundation, and we got to paint the periodic table for a classroom and also paint the classrooms and finish them up to make sure they looked nice for when they got back. Luckily, we also got to go into the beautiful water there that was very light blue and very fun to swim in. Finally, when we were finished the next day with all the classroom paint and the periodic table, we got to explore. We went to a underwater cave, and then beautiful scenery, and got to try, pina coladas, virgin of course. And then we finally got to walk around Santiago. It was a beautiful town, very colorful, paintings everywhere, murals everywhere. It was beautiful. And then sadly, we had to go. Overall, it was a life-changing experience for me and all the other students that went on this trip. I learned so much about culture and just how to be a better person, and I recommend it highly to anyone. If you get the opportunity to go, it'll change your life and it'll change who you are for the better.
These students were lucky to go on this rewarding trip and will always remember their 2019 April vacation. Students at the Coakley Middle School held amazing performances of Aladdin. This was under the direction of Mr. Bell, Mr. McDonough, and Miss Scannell. Principal Dr. Frasick attended with her children and was amazed at the quality of the singing. Things are looking great for the Fine Arts program at NHS, and this proves it all starts at the elementary and middle schools. Well, that's it for school news. For more information about the Norwood school system, please check the website, Facebook, and watch Norwood Community Media. Now let's go to Brian Dunn with the latest sports news.
Thanks, Tim, and welcome into the sports update for this week. As always, I'm your host, Brian Dunn, and I have a feeling you're going to like the results of this week's scores from around the league. So let's hop right in. Our featured game of the week was the volleyball team taking on a team just up the road in King Philip High School Warriors. Although the Mustangs lost in straight sets, there were some great plays for Norwood. Mike Crowley brings you the call of the action from the Norwood High School gym.
Bassam with a nice play to Katie. To Brian, does a good job of placing that shot. And that point will go the Mustangs' way, so we're knotted up at 4. Many great volleys today. Both teams playing well. McGuick, Coleman. That stays on the Warrior side. McGuick to Katie Coleman. Outside is Sean Pugach, and he gets the point for the Mustangs. Victor, set by Katie. Back to Victor. Victor does an excellent job of finding that floor in the middle. So the Warriors win game 3, and they sweep the match against your Norwood Mustangs.
And a quick roundup for the rest of the action. Although the boys tennis team lost to Holliston 3-2, the fit inside connection is a hard code to crack. A little counter shot there and eventually a doubles victory for them in their individual match. And baseball has flipped the script from the beginning of the year as they rattled off 4 in a row now, including an 8-3 win over Medfield, and that's good for Coach Kevin Igo's 100th win of his career. Girls tennis stayed home this week as they played host to Hopkinton and then Medfield later in the week. They cannot outlast Medfield as they dropped their match 5-0. In track and field action over at Hopkinton, some familiar faces from last week once again grab a first place finish, including Catherine Hurley and Solomon King. Aiden Mulligan, Paul Forrest, Ali Kelleher, and Kenny Oberbico also placed first in the early week meet action. Boys lacrosse picked up a much-needed win over Dedham 14-9 to stay on pace for the tournament picture, although girls lacrosse unfortunately fell just a goal short against the Marauders. And finally, the big-time performance coming out of this week goes to Amanda Olbrich for picking a no-hitter in a 5-0 win over Medfield. He faced 22 batters in a 21-out victory. Absolutely incredible performance by Amanda, and congratulations to the softball team on your victory. And a special congratulations goes out to Pat Forrest, who helped the Merrimack College Warriors clinch their best finish in program history. And that'll do it for a quick update from me this week. Just a reminder, you can now watch the boys volleyball versus KP playing on our school channel and on our video on demand and our website, norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Gonna make a call to the bullpen and bring in the closer. Kristen, take it away.
This past Saturday, Norwood kids got a taste of truck life. Norwood Recreation, along with other town departments, hosted the Touch a Truck event, where DPW tractors, fire trucks, police cruisers, and the NCM truck were all available for kids to look inside and hop in the driver's seat. Let's throw it down to Katie Seestead, who tells us all about it.
Hi Norwood, it's Katie Seestead here, Program Director for the Norwood Recreation Department. Today we have a wonderful event called Touch a Truck. It is one of our favorite events. We've had a lot of people come out today. I think the weather has helped us with programs being canceled. So we've had a couple of hundred families come in and out of the Touch a Truck event. We are very appreciative of all of our town municipalities that make this possible. So the DPW, NCM, Norwood Police Department, the Norwood Light Department. Without them, we wouldn't be able to have this event for free. That's one thing that we really like to have our families with this event. Bring your friends, family. We also notice a lot of people from not Norwood, so that's great that we are seeing other neighboring towns come to our event so we can show off how great our vehicles are. So once again, we thank you so much for coming. We look forward to it. Special shout out to our DJ, Joe Spadorsha, who is doing a great job today keeping everyone active and having a fun time, even though the sun might not be shining. However, However, we're still having dancing and we're still looking at a bunch of trucks, and we are excited to be here. We look forward to seeing you at our next event, and we will see you later.
Just inside from the Touch a Truck, the Recreation Department hosted their annual Princess Tea Lunch. Mothers and daughters from around town gathered inside the Willett Room at the Civic for a host of activities.
So today we have our annual Mother-Daughter Princess Tea Party. We have it every year in May, same day as Touch a Truck. It's tons of fun. It's always the weekend before Mother's Day, or usually right around Mother's Day, so lots of moms will come in with their little princesses all dressed up, and we do some crafts, and we listen to some music, and we have lunch at the end, and we have some tea.
Thank you to the Rec Department for putting on so many great activities. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.